In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top books that you need to read in order to help your dog through aggression or anxiety. And most people would be listing the top bigwig names that you probably already know, but I'm not going to be doing that. As always, I've got some nerdy content coming for you. So if you're interested in some interesting selections that I know you will benefit from, keep watching. What's up guys, it's Jenna with Dog Liaison, where I coach you on how to enhance your dog's mental health. On this channel, we break down scientific research in order to inform us on how to train dogs. Now in my signature program, the Recovering Rover program, all we do is work with dogs demonstrating some sort of anxious behavior, aggression, reactivity, separation anxiety, and sensitivity. So I am very fluent in many of the books, and I have read many bad books as well. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you what books I have found the most beneficial and helpful in my career working with clients, and what I definitely recommend you read today. Now, I want to be clear, I haven't listed any of the books in a particular order. I'm going to be kind of explaining the pros and cons and in what context you would enjoy them. I've also linked all of the books in the description box so that you can go check them out and order them off Amazon if you're interested. Let's get into it. Now, one of my all-time favorite books ever, I mean, we're really starting this video off with a wham, is Meet Your Dog by Kim Brophy. Now, I have had Kim Brophy on this channel. You can go watch her videos here. You can open that link in a new tab and check her out. She is absolutely phenomenal, and she has completely deconstructed what we think of traditional dog behavior and dog training. And so that book, I honestly think every single person who lives with and raises a dog needs to read it, bar none. But if you have a dog that's demonstrating some sort of behavioral problem, then that book is even more transformative, because it's going to give you an awareness of the dog's genetics and breed and history and DNA, which are probably coming into play with your dog's behavior choices. So highly, highly recommend that book. I know that it is usually on Kindle, and I don't think it has an audiobook as of this recording, but she is fabulous. I will also link her TED Talk down below so that you can watch that, because I'm telling you, it'll change your life. It's an amazing book. Now, this next book is one of my all-time favorite books of any genre, of any topic, bar none, across the board, and that is The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker. No, it is not a dog training book. It is not about dogs at all. It's all about humans specifically. However, actually what it's about is fear. And fear is a universal hazard signal that goes in nearly every single species. It is what keeps us alive. It is an essential tool. And this particular book really transformed the way I understood fear, and I have absolutely implemented the fundamental principles of fear that are taught in that book to how I practice working with animals and working with dogs. And I know that sometimes people will be like, well, that's, anthropomorphizing. I would say no, because when you actually read the book and when you actually understand the principles taught about fear in the book, they are universal and they cross many species. So I would say that if you have a fearful dog, I think you should read this book, not just because it's going to help you understand your dog a little bit better, but because I think you'll find that it actually helps your understanding of what fear is and how it really affects our behavior as individuals, regardless of what species we are. There are principles that talk about learned helplessness and intuition and picking up on signals that we can't describe, we can't specifically pinpoint, but our subconscious is picking them up. There are just really interesting insights in that book, and I would say that of all of the dog psychology books that I have read, that one, which has nothing to do about dogs, absolutely played an integral role in my understanding working with anxiety dogs. The next book that I recommend is Bat 2.0 by Grisha Stewart. Yes, you want the second edition, not the first. And honestly, Grisha Stewart is the first one to say that. She wrote, obviously, the first one, and then a couple years then created the second. And I have read both editions, and I can tell you that both are very good, but the second edition is better, because it's just more recent and there's updated data on it. So I would say get 2.0. And if you're watching this well in the future and there's a 3.0, then I would implore you to get that, because I'm very confident that it will be better. So what I'll say about this is that Bat is a very useful process to help dogs that are facing reactivity, particularly dogs that are facing reactivity on walks and dogs that are experiencing sensitivity to another trigger, say another dog, another person, another object. If you have a very distinctive trigger, BAT can come into handy. I also highly recommend it for dogs that have, maybe they can't eat specific foods, they have a sensitive stomach, or you're not able to feed your dog at all outside of the house. Then BAT is absolutely a wonderful tool that you can use because it doesn't require any treats, at least not for the early stages. So highly recommend that book. I think it's easily understood, easily implemented, and I know that it'll help you in your journey to recover your dog's reactivity. The next book that I recommend is Treating Dog Separation Anxiety by Melina De Martini Price. Actually, ironically, in this one, I sort of recommend the first edition for the common dog parent. So let me be clear, there are 2 editions and I have read both. The second one came out this past year, so 2021. And I would say that the biggest difference between the 2 is that since she wrote the first one, she knew that she doesn't need to we don't need to confine dogs to get them through separation anxiety. So in the first book, she recommends that, you know, you put your dog either in you either crate train them or you put them in a cornered off area. Since that first publishing, we found the data that that's not necessary, that it is highly individual to the dog. And so in many cases, you absolutely can give a dog free reign of the entire house and still recover their separation anxiety. That is the key difference between edition 1 and edition 2. Yes, edition 2 is going to cover more recent data, but what I would say, in my personal opinion, is that for the common dog parent, for the dog owner, you will probably find the first edition is sufficient. Now, if you are a professional or want to be a professional, then I definitely recommend you read 2.0 because 2.0 is going to have a little bit more clear data and it's got more modern research. So that's what I would say. Either way, the method is absolutely essential. If you want to kind of have a understanding of what method is taught in that book, then I recommend you check out this video right here that I did where I briefly explain the procedure to recover your dog from separation anxiety. The next book I recommend is by Turd Regaw, On Talking Terms, Calming Signals. So you may have heard the phrase calming signals before, and it all originated with Turd Regaw, who is fabulous. I think she's wonderful. And what I really appreciate about that particular book is that she explains the dog behavior in very simple terms. It's not a very big book. I think it's like literally 90 pages or something. It's super understandable for the common pet parent to understand our basic dog stress signals. Here's the disclaimer I would give about that book, and it's just a small one that I think is important. Just because it's a stress behavior doesn't necessarily mean that we can imply function or intentionality for it, right? I think that sometimes she gives a behavior and she says, this is a stress response and the purpose of doing this behavior is XYZ. Well, we can absolutely objectively say that yes, this is a stress behavior. We have the data, we have the science that says that's true without a doubt. Unfortunately, because we can't speak to animals and animals can't speak to us, we're not able to ask them, hey, are you lip licking for this reason? Are you yawning for this reason? We can't really ask them that. And I think that sometimes she implies function and purpose to the behavior, even though that's not scientific data just yet. And that's the only hesitation I have with that book. But absolutely, the behaviors that she says are stress signals are indeed stress signals. Whether or not we can say that they are for the function of calming the person who's viewing them or the dog who's viewing those signals, that I guess is a little bit arguable. TBD. Still think it's worth reading though. In my next video, I am going to be listing my top favorite books to nerd out on dog behavior. So if you are like me and you like to nerd a little bit, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this video well into the future, I have linked it right here and you can check it out. It's also linked in the description box below. Make sure you download your free list of 50 enrichment activities to do with your dog. Make sure you hit that notification bell and I'll see you guys soon.